G'day, I'm down here at Audio Sapien with Tom. How are you, Tom?
How you doing?
Not too bad, mate. Yourself?
Welcome.
So tell us a bit about yourself.
I'm a 42-year-old man stuck in his home studio doing what he loves doing. I basically started doing this when I was 15, messing around at home. Got roped into doing some road crew work for Robert Neely Productions in Victoria. Basically, my first gig was putting up rigging, carrying a lot of stuff at the ZZ Top Eliminator concert. And from then on, I just sort of set off the spark.
Yeah. So how'd you actually get into audio production?
Audio production, it came out of necessity, really. Being in bands, touring, and I always seemed to be the guy who ended up running the desk on stage, or talking with the audio engineer at the gig and saying, you know, well, can you do this, can you do that? So it sort of stemmed from there, and I started to get a hankering for actually, you know, doing it myself, recording for my band or, you know, bands of friends and that sort of thing. So it just sort of built from there.
Yeah, right. What were some of the earlier programs that you used and started with?
I actually started on Logic, and believe it or not, I'm still on Logic. I went basically Logic, switched to Nuendo for a while, I think around about Nuendo 2, tried Digital Performer. I still use Digital Performer occasionally. Did the Pro Tools thing, not really a fan of it, and then full circle back to Logic. So yeah, Logic Studio 9 and everything that goes with it. Yeah,
and what's some of the equipment that you're using now, like the outboard sort of gear?
Okay, well, we've got the console, which is an AMR console. It's about 20 years old. It was restored a couple of months ago when I actually dismantled it and put it in here and rebuilt it. So this is a split style console. Beautiful EQs, nice clean sounding console with just a hint of warmth. I use some Vintech Neve preamps, some Sebetron preamps, which are built in Victoria by Sebastian at Sebetron. I hand built some of the SCA 7th Circle audio kits, once again Neves and API style preamps. I've got some JLM gear, which is actually built by Joe Malone here in Brizzy. A couple of Pultec EQs, an 1176 style compressor, an LA2A style compressor that he did. I've got some Lindell Audio stuff coming as well. Mic-wise, we use everything from Neumanns to AKGs to whatever I can get my hands on, and not necessarily all expensive gear. Some of it is fairly cheap CAD gear. You know, sometimes an SM57 is the best mic for a job. You don't have to spend $4,000.
What's some advice you'd give to a young engineer or producer starting out in the field?
It's not about the gear. It's not about the gear. It's about your ears. It's about learning to use what you've got to its fullest, and critical listening. Yeah, you really got to pay attention to what's going on. It's not just a case of, you know, you've got this piece of equipment and you plug it in and all of a sudden you're going to have a perfect mix. It's not going to happen. There's a lot more that goes into it than the gear. Your space, your acoustic space, is probably the number one thing that you need to get in check before you even think about buying gear. So that's probably where I'd start. Give yourself time. Don't beat yourself up, because it does take years to actually, you know, develop an ear and get yourself used to your acoustic environment. So that's probably it. Yeah.
Yeah, excellent.
Yeah, don't waste your money. Yeah, and don't jump on the bandwagon. Don't just go, oh yeah, everybody's using this, so it must be good. Go out, try stuff, use your ears.
Yeah. What computer and software are you running?
Okay. Well, we're running Macs. We've got a Mac Pro. Well, it's an 8-core, 32 gig of RAM. I've got 5 hard drives, 1 external that I sort of switch out. 2 externals that I switch out and 3 on board. The 3 on board are Western Digitals. They're 500 gigs. I don't think you need any more for audio. So I've got like one that's actually my audio processing drive, where I keep all my project folders and that sort of stuff. I've got OneDrive for samples, and then one which has got the operating system and all of your plugins and everything on that. So yeah, and it's good to keep all that isolated as well. So yeah, that's pretty much the computer, running Logic, running Logic, Cubase, Digital Performer, whatever else people need me to run. Yeah. So I've tried to be as versatile as I possibly can as far as that's concerned.
Yeah, a lot of people do swing to Mac. Is that are they superior than the PC, or is it just is it personal preference when it comes to computing?
There's always been a PC Mac argument, and I hate to say it, but there's a reason for that. There really is a reason for that. I ran PCs in the studio for quite some time, simply because that's what my budget allowed me to do. And granted, you can work on them, you can do what you got to do, but I've had so much less downtime since I've had the Mac. I'm basically never formatting, never having to defrag, never having to run virus software or any of that sort of stuff, which bogs the system down. The actual user interface on a Mac is much more intuitive, and I tend to think that because the operating system is designed for one system, they're not getting 40 million sound card manufacturers or video card manufacturers that they've got to allocate for in the operating system, or that are actually developing hardware for an operating system. There's just so many less variables when you're working with a Mac. So yeah, I'd say if you're really serious about audio production, definitely go for a Mac.
Excellent. Well, this is your control room. Let's go and have a look at your studio.
All right, not a problem.
All right, Tom. So we're in your control room before, and this is the tracking room.
This is the live room. Yep.
So tell us a bit about it.
The live room here it's about 9 metres by 4 metres. So it's a reasonably large space, not massive, but reasonably large. It's being constructed and designed to produce a nice flat frequency response across the spectrum, not too heavy on the bass, not too many reflections in the room. It's very controlled, but it's also quite variable in that I can switch it up a little bit acoustically. I've got a couple of baffles and bits and pieces that I use, move around the room for tracking purposes if I want to sort of get more isolation or whatever between instruments. We can like do a live recording in this room quite comfortably for demos and that sort of thing. And acoustically it'll handle that beautifully. For commercial production, generally what we'll do is we'll do a split between the live room and the two isolation areas, so that we'll have we'll be tracking drums, we'll have a guitarist and bass player in the live room at the time, but their cabs will be in a separate room. So they'll be routed through the walls, patched into their amps, through to the desk, and then headphone feeds sent back. So basically you'll be tracking the drums, everybody's in here sort of working together, they're getting their groove on, and they can sort of communicate, but we're getting the isolation we need. Yeah, that's why we set it up the way we did.
All right, Tom, so for any more information about Audio Sapien, where do people have to go?
Yeah, just jump online, go to audiosapien.com.au. There's plenty of information on the website, and if you want to contact us direct, there's a form on the site as well, or call us on 3814-2367.
Well, thanks very much for your time, Tom. Really appreciate it and learned a lot today.
It's been a pleasure.
All right, well, we'll see you next time, and we'll see you at the studio.
Absolutely.
Okay, sweet. Well, it looks like Audio Sapien have a pretty sweet setup there. I mean, what did you guys think of the setup?
Looks nice. Lots of nice preamps and things, compressors.
Yeah, the sort of stuff you get into. I mean, what's your experience been with recording?
As a band, we've taken a pretty slow approach to it. We all have recording setups at home, and we sort of track separately and do a lot of pre-production in the lead up to going into the studio. So we've got everything right when we go in there to do it all with all the lovely mics and stuff like that.
So one of you guys will track keys, yourself, someone will...
We'll demo everything about 100 times.
Yeah, and do you guys sort of get in there to save time and program drums and that sort of stuff as well?
No, that's not so much with drums, because it's, we've got a human metronome as a drummer, so he's pretty much just does it all on the fly anyway. We don't need to program drums.
Yeah.
It's not an issue. But yeah, it's doable.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I do know some bands will program all their drums in pre-production so that they've got, you know, at least a bit of a feel for the songs. But
yeah, we can. Yeah, sometimes we do little bits of different click speeds because the song change over time. But yeah.
Yeah, great. Well, I mean, I suppose it does help when everyone's got their own small recording setup, and you know, you guys can with things like Dropbox these days, you can exchange files, communicate pretty quickly, and you know, work on songs. Yeah.
Yeah. We don't even have to see each other. We can just do it all from our own. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah. There's bands out there that exist purely digitally these days and do that same thing.
Yeah.
Okay, great. There's still more to come, guys. After the break, Jake's going to be heading out to Eloise Music to find out more about MIDI, and later on I'm going to be heading out with Australian Concert Productions for more live sound production tips. See you guys soon.